Hey folks, this is Kalani. Patch 10.1 will be introducing so many great changes with a lot of new content to dive into, but with so many updates it is hard to keep up with everything as the PTR builds come in and some things get thrown out while others get changed completely, but fear not, we've put together a list of under the radar changes that you might not know about but are going to end up being quite impactful as we all head down into the Zaralek Cavern. So we're going to go through 20 small but amazing changes in patch 10.1 that you need to know about. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. To start with, Heirloom upgrades. Heirlooms are finally being updated to work for the Dragonflight leveling experience. Not that we really need any help to level faster from 60 to 70, but hey, every little helps I guess. So we can now upgrade them to 6 of 6, which will let them scale all the way up to level 70, providing you with better stats and a set of gear that you shouldn't need to replace before you hit max level. They're currently item level 329 at level 69, so not too bad, but they will very quickly be replaced by any source of gear in Season 2 of Dragonflight. Upgrading them will work in the exact same way. We've got a new upgrade item from the Heirloom vendor in Ogrimmar or Ironforge. The Awakened Heirloom Armor Casing will cost you 5,000 gold, so that's 5,000 per armor item you want to upgrade, and then the Awakened Heirloom Scabbard will cost 7,500 gold, so another 7.5k for each weapon you want to upgrade. So these are still very expensive, but you might be able to use some other currencies if these upgrade items are available from all of the other sources, like time-warped badges if you have plenty of those knocking around, so that might be something to look into. We also have some new customization options coming with 10.1 that you might have missed. There are new eye colours and hair colours for the Nightborn, so you can change your eye colour to better match some of the other elf options, and there are a lot more hair colour options to pick and choose from. Then there are also some new skin tones and new hair colours being added for the Dark Iron Dwarves. It's always nice to see new options being added into the game, even if it's just a couple or so with every patch. I'm glad they haven't abandoned the promise of more customization. Now along the same vein, everyone should also be able to choose to have blind eyes in either eye or in both eyes. This option has also been moved in the user interface, so it's no longer part of the eye color set. You should see a new option called Eyesight. Here you can pick to have eyesight in both eyes, just left, just right, or neither. So this will give you more options to combine with eye colors and make sure you get to look exactly how you want. Another nice addition comes in for worgen specifically. They'll be given a new racial ability, Calm the Wolf. This basically is the exact same thing as what evokers have with Chosen Identity. You can turn this on to automatically take your human form whenever you leave combat, so if you prefer to be in your human form for everything except combat, this will be a nice little addition for all the worgen players out there. Now before we continue, today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh. We're going to be making this prosciutto wrapped apricot chicken, which looks amazing, so I'm really excited. HelloFresh takes the hassle out of mealtime by delivering pre-portioned ingredients and easy-to-prepare recipes right to your door. With each recipe including exactly what you need, there's no food waste to worry about, and you can skip the trips to the grocery store. The variety is also great. With 40 recipes to choose from that rotate each week, you're sure to find something delicious, new and exciting. Trust me, we've tried a lot of them and we haven't even scratched the surface. All of the recipes have easy to follow step-by-step instructions, so anyone and everyone can create fantastic meals without any prior experience. It's also a great chance to learn some basic cooking skills, like how to prepare ingredients, how to layer flavors and textures, and create and use garnishes. We've learned a lot from HelloFresh, and it really helped us level up our cooking. So use our link or go to hellofresh.com and use our code for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. Once you click, our description will update live to count up the purchases. Now getting back to the video, something else you may have missed is the removal of certain pesky restrictions when it comes to earning heritage armor sets for specific races. All non-allied race heritage armor will no longer require Exalted Reputation with that race's home faction. So here's every race in the game and what we can play, and here's the races with heritage armor currently. We are still due quite a few by the looks of things, but they haven't given up just yet. We just got the human and orc heritage armor sets after all, so you never know when we might see some more. Okay, so this change isn't for allied races, so let's take those out of the picture, and these are the races this change applies to, so you no longer need to be exalted with their home faction to start the Heritage Armor questlines. So if those rep requirements were the thing holding you back from getting the Blood Elf Heritage Armor, or the Dwarf Heritage Armor, or really any of these races here, now you don't need the rep, so it will be much easier to start in patch 10.1. Patch 10.1 also brings a whole bunch of changes to professions and how they work, as well as buffs and nerfs for special crafted items and embellishments. To start with, the elemental lariat is getting nerfed quite considerably. This isn't too surprising with how prevalent and powerful it was throughout Season 1, but the duration of the effect is being cut down to 5 seconds, down from 12, so that's a pretty nasty nerf. Now, in addition to that, the lariat effect will gain a second bonus. The duration will get 1 second added onto it for every elemental gem you have equipped. This is quite interesting because it essentially means that the nerf is only super bad at the very start of any progression reset. With all of our gear being replaced one way or another, we're going to lose all or most of our sockets, but as we progress, gear up and earn more sockets from the Great Vault, we can slowly but surely add more gems back into our gear, which will also increase the power level of the elemental lariat. So you might find yourself not using the lariat at the start of Season 2, but by the end of Season 2 it might become one of your best in slot crafted options yet again. We also have a lot of buffs and tweaks for other embellishment options and new effects being added in the patch, so hopefully that will shake things up as well. Some items worth noting are the Spore Keeper's Baton, a wand with a special effect that can provide an ally with some versatility or deal extra damage and shield you. There's also a new set of Mail Braces that give you verse or crit when taking damage, or hastened mastery while dealing damage. Obviously this will just turn into a numbers game to see which items are the best to make, upgrade and equip, but at least we have more options. Now, there is one very important factor that you will need to consider when it comes to upgrading your Season 1 crafted gear to the new Season 2 higher item level brackets. When you first upgrade an item into the new Season 2 system, you will lose any and all sockets on that piece of gear. So if you've been rocking maxed out crafted gear with all the bells and whistles and added sockets onto them using the Great Vault currency options, those sockets will be removed when you upgrade your crafted gear in Season 2. You'll be given a warning message when you try to upgrade, so it won't just delete your sockets willy-nilly without telling you, but you will have to start the socket grind all over again in patch 10.1. You might notice a few changes to the profession window with the next patch as well. A few things have been shifted around to make the window smaller in general, and you should now be able to open professions alongside other large screens like auction houses or crafting orders, but there's another new feature which is even better. You can now minimize your profession window, so it crams all of the important info down into a window this size, which will make it much more manageable and will guarantee that no matter what screen size or resolution you play at, you'll be able to keep your profession window open alongside pretty much any other window in the game. You can also change your selected recipe up at the top with the search bar, which is really neat, so if you've been annoyed about the general bulk and size of profession windows specifically in Dragonflight, this change is definitely one you need to know about. Another very nice quality of life change for professions comes to recipe locations. Any recipe that dropped in the Vault of the Incarnates raid can now be found in the new raid Aberrus the Shadowed Crucible, so you won't have to go into outdated content or raids to get some recipes that you might still be missing. Another important change here though is that while these recipes could only drop on heroic or mythic difficulty for the Vault of the Incarnates, they will drop on any difficulty in Aberrus, so you can get them on normal or even LFR, so they should be much easier to acquire in general when patch 10.1 goes live. We also have some new higher item level casual gearing options that you might not know about. Patch 10.1 will introduce a new round of War Mode gear. This new set starts at item level 392, which makes it an amazing starting point for any new or returning players or alts that you start up in patch 10.1. It actually makes the catch-up gearing from 10.0.7 kind of obsolete, but I guess not everyone wants to farm bloody tokens all day. The costs don't seem to have increased significantly, if at all, so this gear should be just as easy to acquire as it was back when Season 1 started. These new sets also have different transmog, and the sets actually look really cool, so even if you don't want the gear for the item level, you might still be interested in the actual transmog set that you get. This gear can also be upgraded with Trophies of Strife at an upgrade NPC, which will take it up to item level 411, which will be a great springboard for PvP gearing especially, or just outdoor world gearing in general. Now you may be thinking, great, I've got loads of bloody tokens and Trophies of Strife saved up, I'll just buy all this new stuff immediately. Well, You can't. The bloody token currency is going to be reset entirely when the patch goes live. So if you have bloody tokens that you want to spend, you should probably do that before they get wiped, but the trophies of Strife will also become obsolete. They won't be wiped, but they will turn into a vendor trash item, so at least you get some gold back for that one, but they will not actually be usable in patch 10.1. So both of the major war mode currencies will get reset, which kind of makes sense really. Moving on, there are some updates to how looting is going to work in patch 10.1 that you might have missed. The first one is an extension on the trade timer for loot that you get in a group. This is the blue text that pops up below items. You have 2 hours to trade this item to a member of your group that was eligible for the loot if you're feeling nice. Alright, maybe that last part isn't there, but the timer is going to be increased up to 4 hours in patch 10.1, so you have twice as long to decide if you actually need that piece of gear or if you can pass it on to one of your group mates. There is a catch here though. With the current 2-hour timer, the timer only progresses while that character is online. So if you log off right after you get the item, you'll actually still have 2 hours left to trade it even if you log back in a week later. That will no longer be the case. The new 4-hour timer will progress even while your character is offline, so it's 4 hours from the moment that loot drops regardless of whether you are offline or online, so you better make sure you trade any loot you don't want before you log off for the night. Another change for loot is the transmog roll option. This was implemented on the PTR pretty late, so the majority of folks probably missed this one. Whenever an item drops with group loot active, so pretty much whenever loot drops in a raid, I don't think group loot is anywhere else just yet, you will have the standard options of need, greed and pass, unless you can use the transmog of an item that dropped and you don't already have that transmog. If you can use the transmog, your greed button will be replaced with a transmog button. This might seem like a small difference, and it kind of is, but the impact is actually going to be pretty important because transmog rolls are more valuable than greed rolls. So loot will be distributed to the need rollers first, then transmog rollers, and then greed rollers last. So if you don't need the item for the actual upgrade, but you still want the transmog, you can select transmog roll and you will get it over the folks who will just sell it to a vendor. This will make securing transmog from raids much easier and more streamlined in general, and will save you asking for items that might have been won on a greed roll. And then just in case you didn't know, there is also an update for the actual loot window for group loot. So when your loot pops up, the overall loot window should also automatically pop up alongside it, which has all of the available loot listed. It will also show you who is rolling on which items and what they selected, need, greed or transmog, and I'm pretty sure this is also showing the current highest roller for each item. I didn't get many chances to test this out with group loot only really being in the raid, but having this window pop up automatically is nice, and the updated look and info is a great addition. Moving on, we have some very broad, sweeping changes for every class in the game. To start with, Leech is going to be quite a bit less effective in patch 10.1. Leech rating will give you 25% less Leech stat, so it's going to be much harder to get up to the current levels of Leech that are allowing folks to run dungeons without a healer, which is a bit of a problem really when you cut out one of the 3 main roles in the game, so Leech won't be as powerful in 10.1. The other major change that's going to affect everyone is the big healer nerf. Basically, the dev team thinks that healers are too strong, so to combat that, they're going to increase all monster damage by 25% and all player health by 25% as well, so your personal survivability shouldn't be impacted too much, but healing will be less effective. Alongside this change, a lot of tanks and hybrid DPS classes and specs actually had their healing potential increased, either by 25% to simply offset this change, or more to give them more healing buffs, which seems a bit weird. The only ones left out of the healing buffs are the actual healers themselves, so raw throughput healing is going to be a bit less valuable in the new patch, which also makes damage reduction spells and abilities more valuable at the same time. So if you feel like you're having to work harder to keep everyone's health pools topped off in patch 10.1, that's actually the point. That's the dev team's goal here, to make the healers work just that little bit harder to keep everyone alive. Patch 10.1 will also continue the trend of giving casual or solo content players more things to do in the outdoor world. So we've got a new world boss in Zaralek Cavern alongside new world quests and lots of rares to kill, but there's a new addition in here that you might not know about. They're being called public events or public objectives. You can see the little yellow horns on the map. These are a little odd because they're kind of like world quests, except their progress is open and public, kind of like the way in which grand hunts work. So when you're in the right area, you'll see all of the objectives required for this specific public event, and everyone can contribute at the same time. It's like a faster, better world quest, and ultimately it just gives you more activities to take part in the open world. There's another major event being introduced with this patch too, the Researchers Under Fire event. This looks like a new version of the Community Feast or Siege on Dragonbane Keep style of event where it pops up on a scheduled timer and you can hop on over whenever you see it becoming active, lend a helping hand and walk away with a bag of goodies. Your first time each week will probably reward a bigger or better box of stuff just like the other events, so one more thing to add on to your weekly to-do list. And then to round out this video, there's also a nice quality of life change for the quest log. In 10.1, whenever you open a quest from your quest tracker, or just whenever you click on a quest in your quest log, your world map will clear of pretty much everything else to help you get a clear picture of where that quest actually is, but it will also give you a little ping effect so you can see exactly where that quest is in the zone. This should just make it easier and faster to see exactly where you need to go to progress whatever quest you're trying to get done, and is a very welcome addition to the game. But that's our list of 20 amazing small changes that you need to know about, so that's it for this video. Was there anything in this list that you hadn't heard about? Is there anything else you think should be on this list that I missed? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description over to Patreon or click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.